Anyway.
We continually get asked, like, by people who are wanting to become recovery coaches, like, what do I need? Like, do I have the basics in place to become a good recovery coach?
And they kind of wonder, you might be wondering, like, what would be some of the qualifications? What are the things that I should have in place? So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And in this next series of videos, we're going to be talking about sort of the attitude that you might need to have, as well as the knowledge and the skills and values that you might need to have as well. And how we at Still Here can help provide that.
And as you know, like since January 2020, when we started doing this, when we started doing these trainings, we've been requiring this application process. And people are going, well, why do you want an application process? Well, it's important for us to get a glimpse at who's coming and why they're coming, to know if they're bringing the right kind of attitude with them to become a good recovery coach. It does take really solid attitude.
And a big part of that is, and certainly what we look for is heart-led, right? People that are wanting to do this because they want to be part of the solution. And we find oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes it's people with lived experience, personal lived experience with substance or behavior. And they want to try and give back, right? They've found recovery and they want to help other people find recovery and a better life as well.
It's funny, it's sort of shifted. It shifted somewhere about halfway through the pandemic. We were originally training people that were largely addictions medicine doctors, addictions counselors, people in the medical field, and that was the bulk of who we had in class.
Yeah.
But somewhere about a year and a half, 2 years into that process, it switched to largely people who had lived experience and were looking to both pay back, find a heart-led experience in a career, and augment their retirement in some way. And that became sort of the groundswell of people who were filling out applications and wanting to, and we could see it in the applications.
Yeah, we've also had people that may reach out to us and say, well, I want to be able to make, $150 an hour. I want to be able to, really make this happen. And right away, that's a flag for us that maybe there isn't a heart-led and it's more financially motivated. Our experience has been that it does take time to establish, a full-time career out of this. Yeah. It's not instant. Those kinds of, that kind of income is possible, but, it can be very fluid as well. So, to get that really solid base of clients, it does take time, but, we do want people to be realistic and to be heart-led more over than the financial part of it. But you're right about the, people nearing retirement wanting to, maybe augment their retirement.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you can't make a decent living doing this. I mean, there are many who do, but I think in front of that somewhere needs to be that heart-led push to sort of want to help those folks who are still suffering, and really bringing that sort of passion into the project, and being patient, because it does take a certain amount of business savvy to sort of build a practice.
And that comes through experience, right? And really getting good, and that's part of what we're going to talk about in the next couple of videos around, also getting the knowledge, getting the skills, practicing, having values and ethics in the field. So, I think another part of this is, we often will get people that are, working in the addictions field, maybe in a treatment center, or maybe people that are they're already addictions counselors or therapists, and they're looking for ways that they can really help their clients more and more in a more effective way. We do get those people as well, right? And you know what? It's really interesting because you can come with all of those skills pre-existing, but coaching can be such a very specific role that sometimes, people that come with that, they kind of have to empty the bucket and really be willing to be teachable, to actually, let's put that aside for a moment and let's learn this, really important skill of coaching, which can be, it's not directive, it's not prescriptive, we don't assess, we're looking forward as opposed to looking back. And so, it's actually a very specific role that coaching is.
It's an interesting thing to watch from the front of the class is that people come in with certain assumptions and then they find that those assumptions aren't really true, or they come in dedicated to a certain pathway of recovery and then they find out, well, it's not the only way to find recovery. So there's these multiple ways to access recovery. How do I, as a recovery coach, walk alongside them and help them find that and have it be their own idea?
So there's a big element of this, in applying, or people that wanting to be a good coach is, in fact, to be coachable, to be willing to have an open mind, to have a beginner's mind, and to say, yeah, okay, I really want to learn something new. I want to try something different. And, we find that, most people that send in their applications and we ask them, what makes you want to be a recovery coach? And why, what are you going to do with this training? So, and we often will get some very heartfelt reasons, maybe it might be even from allies saying, what, I lost a family member, a loved one, to addiction, and I just want to, give back. I want to help. The other part of it is, often we do get people with lived experience, and we, generally look for people that may have lived experience but have some stable recovery. We would ask that most people, would have at least 6 months, at the very minimum, 6 months of, good solid recovery, and that there's some stability. We find that in the 5-day training that there can be some rough ground that we cover, looking at our biases, looking at, our belief systems. And, some of it can be very activating. We talk about stigma and labels that can be activating. We talk about cultural awareness and cultural humility. So sometimes these things can be, we talk about sexual harassment. Some of these things can be activating for people. So we really do want people to arrive with a good sense of who they are, a good sense of why they're doing what they're doing, and that they have some good recovery capital, that there's some support in their lives, that they have, either a good support group, or that they're working with, a therapist, or that they have a good support network.
Yeah, and sometimes it's getting them on the phone. I'm reticent to get locked into this amount of time means this. If they're around 6 months and they're feeling strong, I'd like to get them on the phone and have a discussion and, sort of feel where they are and check out, how stable they might be going into this before accepting their application.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's where, they might be 2-3 months and they're really eager. And they'll say, well, let's have this conversation again in a few months and see where you are, if you're still really eager, and how you feel about it then. Just to make sure that, for their own protection, so that they're on solid ground going into this, and that this feels like the true north direction for them.
Because, a lot of early recovery is kind of establishing who we are and what do we actually want, and having a strong and true sense of ourselves and what we want. So yeah, we want to really make sure of that too, that this is in fact what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
So
it's a bit of a mug's game. It's not an exact science. We're dealing with people here, so we want to we want to do our due diligence in making sure that the people who are coming into class have the best chance of success for themselves and for the people they're going to be dealing with, the most vulnerable population on the planet, that they are going to be well suited to go ahead and do that.
We really, we feel a deep responsibility for, ensuring that the integrity of the room and the people that are attending, that it is safe, as safe as possible. And yeah, and we're going to talk about that next in our next video, and how we set up that safety right on the first day, in the first hour, actually.